Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Spiritual Connection Show. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So, I'm the spiritual head of the Transformation Center CT, which is located in Westport, Connecticut. I'm also a transformation coach, an energy healer, shamanic practitioner, and I do private sessions here at the center. We also have classes, we have workshops, trainings. Let's see what else we do on Zoom. We have satsang once a month, and that is Sanskrit for in the company of truth. So you can check out the website. I'm going to put up our contact info, and you can check it out, see what the schedule is. Satsang is usually on a Wednesday evening towards the end of the month. And then on the second Tuesday of each month, we have a shamanic clinic. And this is a great opportunity for you to just sample a shamanic session and get introduced to that modality, where you can sign up for half an hour and you get a really powerful extraction healing. And so it works on Zoom. So we've been doing it on Zoom for 2 years now. So I encourage you to check that out. And the second Saturday of each month, we're also doing a class called Spiritual Connection and Evolution. And that has been live in person. We're mixing it up. We're doing it either live in person or on Zoom, depending on the circumstances. So that's also on the website. So we encourage you to check those things out. So again, welcome to the show. And as most of you have seen before, you know that connection is one of my core values. So that's why it's a spiritual connection show. And I love meeting new people and introducing you to my guests that I have each week. You know, everybody's so different, but they all have a story to tell. And I think it's really great that you can learn from them about their spiritual journey, their path, whatever it is they're up to, you can learn about them and connect more fully with your own spiritual self. So that's really the point of the show. So I'm really happy tonight that my guest is Beth Atlas. Welcome to the show, Beth.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here today. So thank you.
It's great to see you, even on Zoom. You know, Beth and I met a few months ago, I guess it was, through TLC group that's based here in Connecticut. And it's a group of holistic health practitioners. And everybody does something different, although we don't have to. Some of us do the same things. There's a lot of energy healers. So it's a great group. You can check it out at tribetlc.com. That's just a little plug for them, but it's a really lots of interesting things happening there. So check that out. So I'm just going to read a little bit about Beth and put up a slide so you can see how to contact her. Let's see. I think this is it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so Beth Atlas is a chiropractic physician with more than 30 years of experience. She has a master's in human nutrition and is a certified nutrition specialist. In addition to her private practice, she has also been adjunct faculty at the University of Bridgeport School of Health Sciences for over 25 years. Gosh, she looks so young, doesn't she? It's amazing what you can do when you're healthy, right, Beth?
Absolutely.
Her practice focuses on functional medicine, which is a holistic approach to healthcare that treats the underlying causes of the symptoms, not just the symptoms, right? So she helps people maximize their health by providing advice on nutrition, food choices, nutritional supplements, and lifestyle modifications. You know, she also treats musculoskeletal. Thank you.
That's it. You got it.
Conditions, which you can see from her background. That's her chiropractic office there. And she does specialize in treating people with a variety of chronic conditions, which she'll tell you a little bit more about later. And she works with adults as well as teens and adolescents. So she covers everybody. In fact, she's a mother of 3 children. And in that role, Beth is very familiar with food likes and dislikes of young people. And she has many recipes to help them find healthy food they will enjoy eating. so they can also improve their health. I mean, that sounds fabulous. I really wish that I had met you, like what I said, 25 years ago. So,
Yes.
yeah, but anyway, welcome to the show, Beth. It's really a pleasure for me to have you here.
Thank you.
Always ask my guests, the first question is just tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got here, anything you want to share, really.
Okay, thank you. I'd say about maybe 35 years ago, when I was in college trying to decide what I wanted to do, I chose chiropractic because at that time I was really interested in sports medicine, helping people, but overall, I didn't want to be an orthopedic surgeon, so I was looking for an alternative way to help people. And I found that chiropractic really let me treat people with those musculoskeletal conditions and sports injuries in a more natural way. You restore joint function, and I've always been into exercise, and that's actually one of the things I teach at the University of Bridgeport is in the rehab class, because fixing muscular imbalance is key to long-term fixing of musculoskeletal conditions. And over many years in practice, I just saw so many people with other chronic health conditions. And the number of people with those chronic health conditions just keeps increasing. And so I wanted to do more than just the musculoskeletal piece. And initially I went back to school about 7 years ago, and I was a little leery about working, raising 3 kids and going to school. So I started as a health coach, and I became a certified health coach, but that wasn't enough for me. It didn't give me the research and the academics to really understand the causes of chronic disease. So I continued and I got my master's in clinical nutrition, became a certified nutrition specialist. And now in my practice, I'm able to really help people with that functional medicine approach. And so there I'm able to treat people with chronic disorders like digestive issues, whether it's irritable bowel syndrome or, heartburn. So many people are taking antacids. It's just crazy how many people are taking antacids. And diabetes, cardiovascular disease, chronic fatigue, which is becoming more and more of an issue, particularly with long haul COVID. Anxiety has a strong gut-brain connection, so that there's a big connection to diet and lifestyle and anxiety, which is a big issue today as well. Headaches, people who develop osteopenia, there is a nutritional and exercise component to that as well. Headaches, allergies, they're just autoimmune things. There are just so many chronic conditions people have. And when I went to school, I learned that really the underlying cause of all of these conditions is inflammation. And so managing that inflammation is really important. And then the health of your gut is also a huge connection to many of these conditions as well. And going to school was like a light bulb for me because I loved it and I love learning. And so I'm always doing continuing education so that I can improve my skills and help people feel better. And I really love what I do.
Well, that's great. And it's very, very clear to me that you do love what you do. And, I think that's one thing that everybody that I interview has in common, that you guys are passionate about what you do, and that's what I love hearing. It's like, right. You were on a journey, you didn't know where it would lead you. And, sometimes there's actually no destination, but in this case, it sounds like you found your joy.
Absolutely. I do. I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love helping people feel better. So.
Yeah, I bet that's extremely rewarding. I mean, because we're all healers, actually, as it turns out.
Yes.
In one way or another.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
a a lot of times we heal ourselves, and like you and I are the facilitators,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
right? Because I think the human body, I mean, I don't know how you feel about it. Maybe I can ask you that question. I personally feel that the human body has a lot of wisdom. Like we sort of have a template when we come in of like a perfect health, and then everything kind of gets, off,
Yeah.
die.
Yeah. And actually something that comes up with that for me is that people are born with their genetics, but not everything that you have a genetic propensity towards happens. And you can actually have some control over that. And that underlying inflammation that I mentioned actually triggers the bad genes to be expressed. And they're not necessarily expressed. So, like if diabetes, type 2 diabetes runs in your family, you don't have to get it. You can actually have those genes not be expressed by managing that inflammation through diet and lifestyle. The same with autoimmune conditions. There are definitely things that you can do. Cancer as well. I mean, there's inflammation that aggravates that, obviously. But then there's exposure to chemicals, which is in processed food and in the environment and other things that cause something we call oxidative stress, and that causes cell damage. And that leads to people developing cancer. So the more you avoid it, the less likely those genetics are to be expressed. And
Wow.
so you have more control than you think. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but all of the studies show. I think there was a recent article that talked about 60 to 70% of cancer is lifestyle and environmentally caused. That's a lot.
That's yeah, that is a lot. I mean, that's kind of like the good news, bad news. I mean, it's mainly good news that you can, have
Yeah.
over this. But I think it's really therefore imperative for people like you to get that word out, to help spread that message. And I don't know about you, but I'm not sure that the mainstream medical profession does a good job with that. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, mainstream medicine has a role to play, and I work with medical doctors all the time because once you have the conditions, you need the medical professions. But if you can prevent them, that's great. The majority of the medical community is not so familiar with nutrition. They don't study a lot of it in their medical schools. So there are internists and doctors that do know, and they will recommend that, like if you go for your physical and they tell you your cholesterol's high or that your blood sugar is high, they might say, fix your diet. But they don't give you any more information than that because that's what they have. And so seeing somebody like me will help you be able to do that better. Because I create a meal plan for each person as an individual based on their needs and their likes and dislikes as well. But not everybody needs the same thing. That's why there's the various diets, right? There's the paleo diet, the ketogenic diet, the Mediterranean diet. And actually they each have some people that need different ones rather than everybody just doing the same thing. And I have recently read about in Massachusetts at Boston Medical that they actually have I think it's in the basement. They have a whole nutritional center at this hospital, and that talks about diet and lifestyle for their cardiovascular patients. So I think that some of the medical community are becoming more aware because the research is there. It really shows the importance of diet and lifestyle. And for certain conditions, the microbiome, which is the health of your gut, the bacteria that live there, is tied to so many conditions, which is also becoming more and more aware in the medical community. But for them, it's new so that they don't convey the message as much as they should.
Yeah, and that's an important message as well. How would you describe how to have a healthy gut or something along those lines?
Well, one of the things that's really lacking in the standard American diet is fiber, and the good bacteria feed on the fiber. And so in order to maintain a good microbiome, we need to eat enough fiber. And we eat, the standard American diet is 10 to 15 grams a day, and women need on average about 26, and men on average about 38 grams of fiber. So we really don't eat enough of it, and you get it in fruits and vegetables, lots of vegetables. There's healthy grains that people can eat rather than the processed flour. So processed flour just turns to sugar in our body and creates that inflammation. Sugar and processed flour are a big path to that. And so the other big path to inflammation is a fatty acid imbalance, because people have heard about taking fish oils, because fish oils are high in omega-3 fatty acids, and processed food is very high in omega-6, and that's another pathway to inflammation that you'd want to fix. And so eating healthy fats is really important for overall health. The fiber is really important for gut health.
Yeah, it's like all this stuff that I've read about or heard about, but I don't really know that much about it. So this is really interesting. So when you're talking about inflammation and the dangers and how it causes a lot of other things, what is it about inflammation that is so dangerous?
Well, I mean, inflammation is what's different. It's a little different than like the swelling in your ankle if you sprain your ankle, because this is a low-grade inflammation that's widespread throughout your body, and that can create cell damage and cell death. And it affects all sorts of parts of the cell. So it can affect the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, and then you feel more fatigued. And it is an immune response. So if you have inflammation, you're more likely to develop an autoimmune condition. Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, they have discovered that inflammation is the underlying cause. Then you develop other things, like with the Alzheimer's, it's these amyloid deposits in the brain. But what causes that is the inflammation, because it causes cell damage over time, and it's an immune response.
All right, that makes sense. And what would you say would be the most effective ways to not have that inflammation? Like, what would you do to not have that?
Well, there are 3 key pillars, I guess. And eating a healthy diet is really important. You're supposed to eat 6 to 8 servings of vegetables a day, which is a lot for most people. A serving is a half a cup of something like peas or broccoli or green beans. But if you have the green leafies that take up a lot of space, it's a cup. So that's 1 serving. So a big salad is a lot of servings, right? If you have a big size salad. So it's doable if you put a little bit of greens or some vegetables with each of your meals. It is doable. And fruit, you're supposed to get 2 to 3 servings a day. So when you make your plate of food, half of it should be filled with vegetables. Protein about the size of your palm is an average size. And then you can have whole grains as the remaining part of the plate. And so that's a standard, what the standard plate should look like. And then the other 2 pillars are exercise and sleep. And so important. So many people don't sleep, and good sleep habits are crucial for feeling your best, because that is our time of repair and cellular regeneration. We can't avoid everything, with cell damage. It's just part of living. And so cellular repair takes place while we sleep. So when we're sleep deprived, we don't have that. We don't have that cellular repair. And we're all familiar with coping with stress less well if we're really tired. And that becomes this vicious cycle, because then if you're stressed, you have trouble to sleep, but then you cope with it poorly. And there are tips to good sleep hygiene to improve your sleep. And then exercise is really important as well. And it doesn't need to be super strenuous, and you don't have to go to the gym. Just find something you like to do so that we move. So if you like to go for walks, get some fresh air, go out in nature, anything you like to do, whether it's playing tennis or walking or riding a bike or swimming, just find something you like and do it so that we're not sedentary. So those are the 3 key pillars.
All right. Well, that's totally doable, I think. I mean, of course, speaking for myself, because I love vegetables. It's hilarious. My husband says, every night I think we have 6 different types of vegetables, because we like variety too. So we're just
well, that idea where you might have heard, eat a rainbow a day. It's true. That's colorful vegetables are really healthy. That's what you want to eat.
Yeah. And the movement too is important, as you said. And
yes,
because the human body was designed to move. I mean, when you think about it, back in like not recent centuries, but going way back, to prehistoric times. I mean, you think about it, the body was never still except when we were sleeping. And that's why I think, my theory that, people would sleep better if they got more exercise, right?
Yes. I actually have, I give presentations on a variety of topics concerning these different health issues. And I will give people a handout sometimes on how to improve their sleep. And exercise is on that list. And some people, if they exercise late in the day, they have enough adrenaline going that then they have trouble to fall asleep. If that's the case, then just exercise earlier in the day. But it's not to stop exercising, it's just to do it earlier in the day, because it expends energy and then you sleep better.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Of course, for some people, it's not so easy to exercise earlier if they're working, until 5 p.m. But I guess 5 is not that, or 6 is that late.
That's often not too late. Yeah. But you have to pick a time that works for you. I mean, if you need to go to sleep a little earlier so that you can wake up a little earlier, that is sometimes something people can do, because a lot of people are staying up till, midnight or later. And because another thing that I always stress is to have a consistent bedtime and wake time. And so you want to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So if you pick your wake up time and work backwards, that should be your bedtime, and be consistent. And so if you need to get up in the morning to exercise, pick your wake up time, work backwards to find your bedtime, and stick with that, even on the weekends if you can. The more consistent you are, the better sleep you're going to have.
Yeah, it's true. It's not always easy to get up early, especially
when it's dark.
In the wintertime when it's dark. And, during the pandemic, I think a lot of people developed different habits, going to bed
They sell a clock. It's a round clock, and it's like a sunshine. And as when the alarm goes off, it becomes brighter so that it's like the sun coming up. And this is helpful.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
I have to look into that.
Yeah, it's helpful for people who have trouble to wake up when it's dark.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is about habit, what you're in the habit of doing, developing new habits. And
yes,
we as humans are totally capable of doing that.
Yes, we are. And habit has a lot to do with it, for sure.
Yeah. Same thing with eating and everything else. Yeah, we could spend probably an hour talking about that, but
well, yeah, but and that's one of the things when I work with people to create their meal plans. It's more than just likes and dislikes. Like some people like to cook, and other people tell me if I can't make it in 10 minutes, it's not happening. So, so I have a variety of ideas of ways to help people with convenience and health, or people who like to cook, and because everybody has their thing, and you have to work with each person as an individual.
Yeah, that's great that you're able to be that flexible. And I mean, I guess that's the name of the game. People come with all sorts of different issues, I would imagine. What would you say just recently would be like the primary or the most frequent issue that people are experiencing when they come to you?
I mean, there's so many, but I see a lot of people with digestive issues, bloating, and irritable bowel, and fatigue ties with that. Been seeing a lot of people with anxiety, and so, but all of these various things, because weight loss is always big as well. I definitely see a lot of people interested in weight loss, and that ties to bringing down your cholesterol. And if you're pre-diabetic, that ties in there as well. So those are some common things I see.
Yeah. And do you have just like a battery of tests that you give to people when they first come in?
Well, it varies a little bit. Some people come in to see me and they already have the standard blood work, like when you go to your MD, and they have that already. So I don't need to reorder it if it's recent enough. If you don't, I can order that. And then for some people who have food sensitivities, like if there's some people have celiac, other people have non-celiac gluten sensitivity or a dairy sensitivity, so I can order those tests as well. And then if you're really having a lot of digestive issues, sometimes there's stool testing that we can order, but everybody's different, so it depends on what they are coming in for. I don't do the same thing on everybody, because not everybody needs the food sensitivity testing, for example. The standard tests, we're supposed to do that every year, right? Get your cholesterol checked and stuff like this, which I can definitely order. And then I do see, typical musculoskeletal conditions for chiropractic care as well. And for those patients, we might not need to order blood work. That's not necessary.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, because you treat such a variety of things. So that makes sense. All right. Well, we're just about out of time. So is there anything you'd like to just say before we wrap up? One last word of wisdom, and I could put your contact info up again while you're doing that.
Okay. Well, the main thing I want people to remember is those 3 pillars of health, which is to eat a clean diet, decreasing the processed food and sugar, and to eat your vegetables, your fruit, get some exercise, and remember to prioritize sleep as well. So I wish everybody good health.
Oh, thank you so much, Beth. This was wonderful talking to you. I feel more healthy already. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun. That's great.
All right. Wonderful. Take care.
Okay, you too. Okay, bye.